Steph Curry is the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the NBA. This is not an area that he has been undersold throughout his career. Many find themselves in that same belief that I have, as he has clearly surpassed even other historic great three-point shooters like Ray Allen and Reggie Miller when you look at his overall volume, his efficiency, the range, degree of difficulty. Steph Curry is a standalone three-point shooter. Most people acknowledge that fact. However, I do think there's another area of Steph Curry's game that has gone completely overlooked throughout a majority of his career, and that's the entire purpose of today's video, to call upon another area of his game that he is incredible at. And it's very, very rare for a player, especially one as talented as Steph Curry, with his physique, his play style, to be this good at and this effective at. And it's a credit to Steve Kerr for unlocking some of this talent and unlocking this play style that I'm going to talk about in today's video. But it's also a testament to Steph Curry's selflessness. He's one of the most selfless superstars in NBA history. Multi-time MVP, former Finals MVP, a four-time NBA champion. Steph Curry, one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball, but one of the best things he does comes without the basketball in his hands. And you might be thinking, oh, you're going to talk about movement. Not even that. I'm talking about his screening. And you might say, wait, what? We're talking about screening for Steph Curry? I think this is one of the most impressive areas of Steph Curry's game. Here's an old clip with the Kevin Durant Warriors where Steph Curry sets an off-ball screen that puts Kevin Durant in advantage, leading to an and one. Here later on, one of the greatest compliments to Steph Curry throughout his Warriors career was, of course, his splash brother, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson historically has been at the very top of the NBA when it comes to shooting off of off-ball screens. And, well, look at his partner in crime here. Here's Steph Curry setting a screen. The Jazz defenders get a little mixed up here. One wanting to switch. The other one, of course, when you're chasing Steph Curry, you're not ready to switch off of him. You're trying to tail him. You want to be right behind him in order to deter any catch-and-shoot looks for himself. And what does that lead to? A pretty open Klay Thompson catch-and-shoot three. Klay Thompson maximized a lot of Steph Curry's gravity. That's going to be the key word of today's video, gravity. Here, Steph Curry again is setting a screen. You see his defender not in good position once again to help out on this screen. And this is a big body screen right here. This is not just a, oh, well, here's a little brush screen. This is a good, strong screen leading to another wide open Klay Thompson catch and shoot three. And you know he's going to bury that 9 times out of 10. Here's Klay Thompson curling off of a Steph Curry screen. And you're starting to understand the value here that Steph Curry provides. With the way that teams defend him, it's very difficult to hedge or help on some of these screens because of Steph Curry's gravity. Here's a patented post-split action in the Golden State Warriors offense. This is something that Steve Kerr has ran a ton throughout the years. Here are the Warriors, of course, in the Kevin Durant era. They're going to maximize this by feeding Zaza Pachulia down in the low post. Steph Curry immediately goes to set a screen on Giannis. Matthew Dellavedova is, in fact, holding Steph Curry, which means he's not in a position to effectively either switch or hedge this post-split action, which turns into a wide-open Kevin Durant dunk down the middle of the floor. Going into our next clip, we're going to look at high splits. So now Pachulia has the ball at the top of the key or near it, and now this becomes a split action where Steph Curry, again setting a screen, this time on Meta World Peace, and Durant thinks, oh, well, if you're going to play on the high side of me, I'll just back cut you. And again, get a super easy dunk. This is part of what made the Warriors so dominant with Kevin Durant and Steph Curry both on the floor. Their gravity off of each other alleviated scoring options and allowed them to play into space so much more frequently. Here now, Andrew Bogut has the ball. Here's another off-ball screen from Steph Curry for Klay Thompson. Now, Chris Middleton actually does a good job blowing this up, but Klay Thompson says, oh, well, if you're going to try and deny me high, how about I just reject the screen now, cut downhill off of it? And again, you're seeing the gravity that Steph Curry has, leading to a Klay Thompson wide open layup. Again, very impressive stuff, all things considered here. Curry gets off the ball, and unlike other NBA superstars, and I'm a huge fan of James Harden, But this is something James Harden would never do. He gets off the ball and instantly goes to move and turns into a pin down screen once again for Kevin Durant. Durant gets to play into space, gets to one of his spots on the court. He's not going to miss that jump shot if you give it to him. Here he is now this past season after the acquisition of Jimmy Butler. And Josh Giddey, again, tries to fight through it. Very similar to the Klay Thompson clip we showed a couple of clips ago. Fights through it. Now, I would assume he wants to erase the space to Steph Curry, tries to get back to his body. But when you do that, what happens here, there's no help in the paint. Look at how empty the lane is. And a lot of this stems from Steph Curry's gravity. You see Quentin Post about to set a screen on Dosunmu. Nikola Vucevic is worried about that, so he's trying to play up a little bit higher, closer to the level of that screen. Matas Buzelis, of course, defending Draymond Green over on the empty side of the court. So there's really no help, and Jimmy Butler catches a lob dunk as a result. Going into our final clip here, this one is perhaps my favorite. Steph Curry, again, this most recent season, setting a rip screen on Zach LaVine for Jonathan Kuminga. And look at Keegan Murray, the defender on Steph Curry. He literally has both of his hands on Steph Curry's back. And what that means is if you're touching Steph Curry, if you're trying to hold on to him, well, guess what? You're not in a position to help on these rip screens. Jonathan Kuminga gets an easy alley-oop dunk off of that action. It's not just off-ball screens, though. Steph Curry sets in a ton of on-ball screens, too, especially with the addition of Jimmy Butler. This has really accentuated some of Steph Curry's screen setting, his gravity, and now the Warriors have not two high IQ players off of each other in Draymond Green and Steph Curry, but they added a third player in Jimmy Butler who can play off of those guys. Now, Butler rifles the ball over to Draymond Green in the corner, and this turns into essentially another split action, where Jimmy is going to cut after Steph Curry draws not one, but two of the Houston Rockets defenders, leading to a wide open rim run down the middle of the floor for Jimmy Butler after the pass back by Draymond Green. Here is the Warriors' inverted ball screen action. This is a big moment in a game. Minute 4 seconds left in an 8-point game. This could be essentially the dagger against the New York Knicks. And watch Steph Curry, not only is he fighting with Deuce McBride here for positioning, but he actually uses Deuce McBride as a screener in this inverted action and then ultimately screens Isaiah Hartenstein himself, giving Draymond Green a very easy walkway to the rim. This is a very common thing in the Warriors offense, something that they do very, very well. Here it is again against Brooklyn this time. Steph Curry goes up to screen, and one of the best things about this, with Draymond Green kind of playing as a point center at times, big men are not used to going through screens. They are not very good at navigating screens. They don't fight over them very well. They don't know how to go under them, and it puts defenders in a very tough spot, because if you're guarding Steph Curry, you don't want to leave him because of the threat that he is as a three-point shooter, which means you're going to get a lot of open drives. Here he is again. Draymond Green all the way to the rim, lobs it up for Jimmy Butler, who knows what to do with it when he catches it there. Now here's a 31 screen with Jimmy Butler as the ball handler, Steph Curry coming up to screen for him. And this is, again, the brilliance of having not two, but three super high IQ players on the floor. Desmond Bane gets hung up by the screen here by Steph Curry. Jimmy Butler starts to play into space, rifles it over to Draymond Green, who turns into an immediate handoff for Steph Curry. And you get to see all of Steph's brilliance in one play: an on-ball screen, immediate off-ball movement, and then a catch-and-shoot three off of a DHO. Here he is now screening Rudy Gobert, and Draymond gets all the way to the rim again at a pivotal point of the game. And Draymond hits night-night on Rudy Gobert there in this clip. We're going to see another inverted ball screen here, again against the New York Knicks. And the Knicks try and blow this up. They blitz Draymond Green, but then you're saying, oh, well, that's probably not very smart. And you're seeing all of the problems here. If you don't show respect to Draymond Green, he's going to get all the way to the rim. If you over-respect him, Steph Curry's going to be wide open. Here he is setting an on-ball screen for Juan Toscano-Anderson a few seasons ago, and it leads to a wide open three. Here's another one against the Memphis Grizzlies when Dylan Brooks was still a part of the team. This is free, easy offense for the Golden State Warriors, and again, it all stems from Steph being the initial screener and then his movement off of those screens. Here he is in the NBA Finals. This is the big Kevin Durant dagger that ultimately concluded this finals run. And what you're going to see here in this clip, he forces a switch. I want to actually go back a little bit earlier. This is another element of screening. So LeBron James is matched up on Kevin Durant, and with how switch heavy the NBA has become, with teams wanting to switch, trying to stay in simple defensive patterns, trying to make switching and pick and roll defense as simple as possible, teams are just willing to switch. And when you do that, it allows the offense to pick their matchups. And this is exactly what they wanted. And Kevin Durant walks into a wide open three-pointer. This concluded the series. Warriors go on to win the NBA Finals that year very, very comfortably. And again, we're back to the very first clip, but you're seeing the benefits of Steph Curry as a screener. I'm going to let some of these play out just as we go because it's just brilliant basketball to watch. I do think Steph Curry is one of the best screeners the NBA has ever seen, and it's a very unorthodox way that he's a great screener. It's not like Steven Adams where he's putting people on the floor or setting huge big body screens that, you know, might leave a little bit of a stamina toll on guys. It's more about the ability to move, complicate team defenses, confuse them. Okay, if I'm holding on to Steph Curry, what am I supposed to do? Can I actually hedge this? And the answer to that is typically no. Steph Curry is one of my favorite players to watch because of his constant off-ball movement, his selflessness, his willingness to put his body on the line a bit as a screener, and he's just an overall joy to watch. Warriors fans, you guys are so lucky to be able to have this guy on your team. I'm extremely jealous. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.